I hear you. Thanks for calling. Jim Bugnett, what's the reason for the call, James? How are you?
Well, Frank, I just wanted to call in and say two things. Number one, the enthusiasm's off the chart. We had 1,000 people in Pike County for an event that Lou Barletta and I did yesterday, so we do have a lot of enthusiasm. But the second thing I wanted to say is thank you so much for playing parts of our debate last week. I heard your 5 to 6 p.m. hour on Monday, and I really appreciate that because the voters deserve to know that I released my tax returns and Cartwright refused to release his, and the media here made a big deal when President Trump wouldn't release his tax returns, but now that a wealthy Democrat won't do it, they're silent, and it's important because Cartwright made $10 million while he was in office in 8 years. That's a lot of money to make in office, and he won't tell us how he did it. So just wanted to make that point and see what you thought of that, Frank.
Well, Jim, I mean, first of all, we were happy to play. We played Dan Muser's debate as well because I agree with you. I mean, Channel 44 did a good job, but the more we can get it out without a 10-second soundbite, the better. But, you mentioned the 1,000 people in Pike County. What are you seeing? I mean, the people who say the polls say this is all over but the crying, what are you seeing out there?
Well, I think the pollsters are doing what they did in 16. They're missing the white working-class voters here in northeastern PA. I have supporters come up to me all the time, Democrats and Republicans, and say, I will not answer phone calls from people I don't know in Washington, D.C. I don't trust them. They might try to cancel me. They might try to get me fired. Maybe it's my union head calling me or one of the union board members calling to see if I'm supporting the Democrat I'm supposed to. People don't trust pollsters, and I don't blame them. I don't trust anybody from D.C. either. So they don't want to give real answers, and if you can't get people on the phone to give you real answers, the polling doesn't mean anything. It's made up. It's fanciful. I know in our polling we're about tied with Cartwright, and the president's up, and I think the president's going to win big here, and that's why he's coming up here next week to campaign. He knows we got to get turnout here, but I mean, I did a parade with 300 cars 2 weeks ago through Hazleton and Drums and West Hazleton. I don't see any of that enthusiasm on the Biden side. We had 50 bikers for Trump here. It just doesn't exist on the other side, and I think the media is trying to convince us it does, but it's hard to when your guy won't leave his basement. We're 8 days away from the election. Biden and Harris didn't campaign today, and Matt Cartwright hasn't campaigned in 3 weeks.
Check in with us again, James. Thank you. 29 and a half minutes after 5. We'll be right back.